going on, guys? PC here, and welcome to another episode of Pickups. So in this video, I'm going to show you a whole ton of games that I picked up over the last couple months or so. In fact, this actually may be my largest pickups video yet. And I'm really excited because the Dreamcast games that I show you in this video actually put me over the 150 game mark in my Dreamcast collection, so I'm really excited about that. I'm well on my way to a full US collection, which is my ultimate goal, so very excited about that. But anyway, let's just get to it and I'll show you what I got. So first up is the only NES game I picked up, and that is Blaster Master. I cannot recommend this game enough. It is so much fun. I picked this up because it was recommended on GameSack, on multiple episodes of that. And if you've never seen GameSack, you should definitely check that out. I'll put a link to it in the description below. But in multiple episodes of that, they recommended Blaster Master, so I decided to pick it up because it looked like a lot of fun. And it definitely is. It is so much fun. Basically, it's a side-scrolling run-and-gun slash platformer where you play as a tank, or you drive around in a tank. You can actually get out of the tank at certain points in the level, and you play this overhead shooter portion of the level, which is really fun. But this is so much fun. I highly recommend this one. So, yeah, definitely pick this up if you see it or have never played it. Definitely recommend this one. So next up are a bunch of PS2 and Xbox games. Now if you watched my recent mystery unboxing video, you'll know that I picked up an original Xbox, and I've been looking for a whole bunch of exclusive games for that system. Now one of the main reasons I picked up the Xbox was because a lot of the exclusives for the console were games that were headed to the Dreamcast originally. So I really wanted to play those, and that actually spawned a little bit of a new collection goal for me. Basically, I'm trying to find games for the PS2 and the Xbox that probably would have ended up on the Dreamcast. Now, these could be games that were known to be coming to the Dreamcast and canceled, or games that were by developers or publishers that released games for the Dreamcast, or a combination of the two. So I've been looking for games like that, and I ended up finding a whole bunch of different ones, so let me show you what I got. So the first game I picked up towards that new collection goal is Arctic Thunder for the PlayStation 2. This is part of the Midway Thunder series. Two of those games ended up on the Dreamcast, Hydro Thunder and Four Wheel Thunder. So this one probably would have made it to the Dreamcast had it been around when this game was released. But I didn't even know this game existed. I was looking up Midway games just to see what they had on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, and I found this game. And as soon as I found out it existed, I instantly bought this. I'm a big fan of the Thunder series, and it looks like a ton of fun. It's a snowmobile racing game, and the artwork on the front is awesome. Basically shows this guy on a snowmobile with some missiles shooting past him, and a guy in the background being blown off his snowmobile, so that's pretty awesome. The game looks like a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to trying this one out. So next up is Project Gotham Racing. This is the spiritual successor to Metropolis Street Racer on the Dreamcast, so naturally this would have ended up on the Dreamcast had it still been around. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about this. It's basically Metropolis Street Racer with a different name and probably some ramped up graphics for the Xbox, but yeah, pick that one up. Next, I picked up a copy of Galleon for the Xbox. Now, this is a game that originally was headed to the Dreamcast, but unfortunately, after multiple delays, development ended up going way past when the Dreamcast was discontinued. I don't think the game was released until 2004, so naturally didn't end up on the Dreamcast. It ended up as a Xbox exclusive. It's a pretty cool game. It was by the creator of the Lara Croft or Tomb Raider franchise. He described it as kind of an interactive movie. It's an action-adventure game, kind of mixed with a point-and-click adventure game as well. Some elements of that in there. But it's pretty cool. I definitely recommend checking this out if you have an original Xbox. So this next game I actually picked up only because it was an Xbox exclusive. I actually didn't realize that it was headed to the Dreamcast originally. And that is Fable: The Lost Chapters. Yes, this was originally intended to be a Dreamcast game. It's actually not that great. It's okay. I had a lot of fun with it when I first started playing it, but I actually completed the original storyline, which the Lost Chapters version of the game is basically just an extended version. I completed the main storyline, and I'm into the Lost Chapters part, and I just don't want to play it anymore. I had a lot of fun with it at the beginning, but it just got really repetitive after a while. And I just don't even want to complete it, because, I don't know, it just gets really repetitive. I've no desire to actually finish this. I might eventually, but yeah, I don't really think it lives up to the hype. But yeah, cool to have it anyway, because it was originally a Dreamcast game. So next up is Silent Scope Complete. This is a collection of Silent Scope 1, 2, and 3. The original was on the Dreamcast, so naturally 2 and 3 probably would have ended up there as well. What's interesting about this game is it actually supports the light gun. The original on the Dreamcast did not. The one on the Dreamcast supports the Dreamcast mouse, which is really cool, and it's actually the best way to play that game. But this one supports the light gun, which is interesting. And there was actually a light gun specifically made for this game that was released on the Xbox, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying this out because I'm a pretty big fan of the original Silent Scope. So the last of the would-be Dreamcast games is Roadkill. This is a car combat game. I had never heard of it before. This is actually not exclusive to the Xbox, but I didn't realize that until after I bought it. It's on the PlayStation 2 as well, but it's by Midway, so I figured it probably would have ended up on the Dreamcast. It looks pretty cool. I've never heard of it before. I'm looking forward to trying it out. I'll probably do a first look video on this, but this game wasn't known to be headed to the Dreamcast, but just because it's by Midway, it probably would have made it there. So that's really the only reason I bought it. But it looks like a fun game anyway. So the last few games I have here I picked up for other reasons other than my new collection goal. The first one is Unreal Championship 2. This was exclusive to the Xbox, and I'm a huge fan of the Unreal Tournament series, so that's really the only reason I picked this up. It's actually, I don't even think it's that great. What's weird about this is you actually have to pick your weapons before you start a match, unlike the other Unreal Tournament games where you can pick up weapons scattered throughout the map. Maybe there's an option to change that, I really don't know, but it's an alright game otherwise. I haven't really played a whole lot of it, but yeah, big fan of Unreal Tournament, so I picked that one up. So the next game I picked up is Splinter Cell. The only reason I picked this one up is because I wanted to soft mod my Xbox. This is one of the games that has the save game exploit in it that allows me to soft mod the Xbox. And that's really the only reason I picked this one up. I did soft mod my Xbox. I have an upgraded hard drive in there as well. And it's really cool because I can just load all my games onto the hard drive and select them from a menu, which is really convenient and increases load times as well. So that's pretty cool. Otherwise, I really have no interest in playing this. Although now that I think of it, this probably would have ended up on the Dreamcast because it's a Tom Clancy game and there were a couple of those on the Dreamcast. So that's kind of cool. So the last game I picked up for the Xbox is Quantum Redshift. This is apparently Microsoft's answer to Wipeout on the PlayStation. This was their attempt to compete with that franchise. It's a futuristic racer that's supposed to be really fast. Really the only reason I picked this one up was because it was extremely cheap. I picked this up for $2 and something cents shipped. So I'm not even a big fan of Wipeout, but I picked it up just because it was cheap and it's an Xbox exclusive. So one more game before we move on to the Dreamcast games, and that is Trapped for the PlayStation 2. I am really excited to play this one. This is the sequel to one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 1, and that's Deception 3 Dark Delusion. Basically, in these games, you play as this girl who has the ability to set traps, which you may not think is that extraordinary, but it's a magical ability. She can spawn traps out of nowhere. Basically, she's trying to stop these people that are trying to kill her. I'm not exactly sure why. I can never really follow the storyline. But basically, they're after her. They're trying to kill her. I think they think she's a demon or something. I don't know. But basically, you set traps in various rooms throughout usually a castle or something like that. And you can combine traps to get combo points. Say, for example, you can put a spring floor that springs an enemy across the room. You can have it spring them into a wall where they drop onto a spike trap. And then when they get up, you can shoot them with arrows from a wall or something like that. And you can get combo points. And you use the points at the end of each level to create your own traps by combining different elements and making these really cool, sinister traps. It's a really fun game, and I highly recommend Deception 3 on the original PlayStation. I haven't played this one yet, obviously. But if this is anywhere near as good as that one, it's going to be a ton of fun. But yeah, definitely recommend Deception 3. possibly this one as well. Alright, so now on to the Dreamcast games. So first off, I picked up a few PAL games, or more specifically, one game and a few demos, and these were sent to me courtesy of Tom Lisi, who is a writer over at the Dreamcast Junkyard. We did a little bit of a trade where I sent him some exclusive US sports titles, and he sent me these in exchange. And I'm really excited to try this first one. This is one I've wanted for a while now. This is Stunt GP. This is a RC car racing game, very similar to Revolt, and this is a European exclusive, and I've wanted to pick this one up for quite a while now. It actually looks like a lot of fun. This is actually by the same developers that developed the Worm games, Team 17. So, definitely looking forward to trying this, because I'm actually a big fan of the Worms games, so I'm interested to see how they do with other types of games. But, yeah, Stunt GP. So, the demo discs he sent me are, Dream On Volume 13 and Dream On Volume 16. There are also a couple in the back here, but I don't want to open them up because the discs tend to just fall out. But yeah, he sent me a whole bunch of demo discs. These are pretty cool because I didn't have any of the Dream On demo discs. These actually have some really cool menus. But a lot of cool games on here, including the Toy Commander Summer and Winter demos, or Christmas demo. Which I'm really excited to try. I actually may do a I may do a video on those, so look forward to that in the future. But very cool. A big thanks to Tom Lisi for sending these. Very excited to try these out. So the next game I picked up is Last Blade 2 Heart of the Samurai. Now, I actually already owned this game, but I only had the disc. I did not have the case and the manual, so really excited to complete that. Basically, I made almost a clean swap for my disc-only copy, which I sold for only $5 less than I bought this for. So basically, I made a $5 upgrade, which I'm really excited about. So very cool to have a complete copy of that now. Next up is Railroad Tycoon 2, which is a railroad management simulator. I've actually never played any of these before, so it actually might be kind of cool, but don't know a whole lot about it, but I might do a video on that. So next I picked up a copy of Speed Devils Online Racing. This is basically just the online multiplayer version of Speed Devils, except it doesn't really have any of the offline features. It has an offline practice mode, but it doesn't have an arcade mode or championship mode like the original game. I really don't know why they released it in two separate versions. Maybe they didn't have the online mode ready in time to release, to implement it in the original game or something like that. I don't know. But main reason I bought this is because this game actually may be coming back online soon. A guy named Peter3K is working on bringing a bunch of Dreamcast games back online, and this is actually one of them, and I wanted to have a copy so I could play it instantly as soon as the servers come back online, which hopefully they do. But I'm a huge fan of Speed Devils. I've been playing a whole ton of it lately. It's a really, really fun arcade-style racing game. What's really unique about it is that the cars can take damage, and you have a bunch of obstacles on the various courses, including rock slides and tornadoes and giant dinosaurs and things like that. It's a really fun game. I highly recommend it. But yeah, looking forward to playing this thing online. So the next game I picked up is MagForce Racing. This is a futuristic racing game. I've actually wanted this game for a while now, ever since the Dreamcast Junkyard, or Tom Lisi actually, made a article on different racing games, the best tracks on racing games for the Dreamcast, and this was actually one of the games he included in that list. So I'm actually really looking forward to trying this one out. So next up is Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles. I hear this game is not that great, but it actually completes my Star Wars trilogy on the Dreamcast. I now own all 3 Star Wars games for the Dreamcast, so that's pretty cool. Next up we have South Park Chef's Love Shack, which I guess is a trivia game show type of game. I really don't know a whole lot about it. Not a big fan of the series, but it's a game I didn't have, so I added it to the collection. Next up we have Test Drive Le Mans, which I guess is based off of some real-life race. I don't really know a whole lot about it, but basically you race for 24 hours on this track, which you can actually do in this game. You can race a 24-hour race. That's absolutely crazy. But this completes my Test Drive collection for the Dreamcast. I believe there are 3 Test Drive games on the Dreamcast, including Test Drive V-Rally, Test Drive 6, and Test Drive Le Mans. So I own all 3 now, which is really cool. Next up we have Atari Anniversary Edition, which is basically just a compilation of various Atari games, or Atari 2600 games to be more specific. I believe these are all Atari 2600 games. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Did not have it, so cool to add it to the collection. So next up we have Prince of Persia Arabian Nights. Apparently this is not a very good game. This was recently talked about on the Dreamcast Junkyard podcast, where they were talking about the worst games on the Dreamcast. And this one came up, so that's kind of disappointing. But it's actually a fairly rare game on the Dreamcast. It usually goes for, I think, around $15, $20. And I ended up getting this for about $9, so pretty happy about that, and cool to add it to the collection regardless of whether it's a bad game or not. So next we have ECW Hardcore Revolution, which is a wrestling game for the Dreamcast, and I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. It's a wrestling game. So next we have Fur Fighters, which is a game that I've been wanting to pick up for a long time now. It looks like a ton of fun. Basically, you play as one of a bunch of animals that are trying to kill each other for some reason. I don't know. It's a third-person shooter. I guess there's a single-player campaign as well as multiplayer, which looks like a lot of fun. This particular version has a cool cover that changes when you tilt it, which is kind of cool. It's not really holographic. I'm not even sure what you call it, but apparently this did not come on all versions of the game. I guess later versions just had a regular cover on it. So, unfortunately, the person I bought it from, or somebody, tried to tear the cover, the holographic cover off of this, and ended up damaging it in the process. I have no idea why they tried to do that, but I had to glue it back on and try and fix it as good as I could. But still cool to have that version since it didn't come on all versions of the game. So next we have Tokyo Extreme Racer. I already had the sequel to this, Tokyo Extreme Racer 2, which is actually a pretty fun game. I'm not big into simulation racing, which is basically what this is. It's an illegal street racing type of game where you're driving around Tokyo at night, challenging random people to races. It's a really difficult game. If you're not big into simulation racing, you probably won't like this. But yeah, the second one has better graphics. It actually has really impressive graphics for the Dreamcast. It has some really nice reflections in the cars and different things like that. The first one, I guess, doesn't have as nice a graphics. But anyway, if you're into racing games, you should probably check that one out. It's a pretty good game. And now for the final Dreamcast pickup, I picked up a copy of Sega GT, which is another racing game. I don't know a whole lot about it, never played it before, but it's supposedly pretty good if you like racing games. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Those are, I can't even speak, those are all my pickups for the last couple of months or so. Some really good games, and I'm really excited to have gotten over the 150 mark in my Dreamcast collection. Only about 100 or so games to go for my full US collection. So, it's really exciting. But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.